Hi, before we talk about this week's major assignment, which is the annotated bibliography, I wanted to take just a few steps back and sort of put this new assignment into context. Let's talk a little bit about what we've done so far in this course. So far, you have focused on different kinds of basic writing. You have practiced some very basic writing skills and done well at them, coming up with a clear thesis or purpose statement around which the entire writing is centered and focused. You've learned to organize your writing in a logical way using subpoints that support that thesis and bring about that purpose. You've studied paragraphs as a tight unit, a unit focused on a subpoint, and a unit in which all of the sentences are closely knit together into a string of logic connected one by one. Now you're going to focus on another part of writing. And that other part is you're going to take one of your former pieces of writing that you've already completed. Not only have you completed it, you've also carried out editing and revision on it. So it's a solid piece of writing. Now you're going to do one more thing to it. You're going to add sources to it. These sources are the voices of experts. They are the facts, examples, statistics, conclusions, quotations that come from credible, published sources. And your first step in finding these sources and integrating them into your work is this thing called an annotated bibliography, finding and citing sources. Now there are three basic steps that you're going to carry out throughout this week. And let's go over what those steps are. The first step is that you're going to search the Savannah Tech Library databases and the World Wide Web in order to find at least 5 credible sources about your topic. At least one of those sources must be from the Savannah Tech Library, and it must be a peer-reviewed source. And we're going to talk about what that is in just a moment. Now, when it comes to searching the World Wide Web, probably the first site that comes to mind is things like Wikipedia or the encyclopedias, and those are fine. Wikipedia and encyclopedia, those are good places to start your research because they give you a good background overview of your topic. However, when writing this kind of report, paper, essay, whatever you want to call it, you can't use sources from encyclopedias, dictionaries, Wikipedias. Why? Because those sources are merely summaries of the real sources. So what you can do is look at Wikipedias, encyclopedias, and dictionaries, and you can get that good background information or broad overview. Then you can look at the end of the articles in Wikipedia or encyclopedias, and guess what you'll find? A bibliography, a list of sources on which that article was based. So that's why you can't use it. It's like third hand. It's somebody's interpretation or summary of previous sources. So by all means, if you want to start with Wikipedia, that's fine. But be sure to look at the end of Wikipedia, and that's where you'll begin your search for sources, because you cannot cite nor can you quote from anything from a reference source like Wikipedia or encyclopedias. Step number 2, use a citation machine to make a reference citation. If you don't know about citation machines, I'm going to introduce you to the concept of citation machines, and we're going to look at a few that are most reliable and how to use them to help you construct this annotated bibliography. Then after you have made the citation for the source you have found, beneath each of those citations, you're then going to write your annotation. Another name for this annotation is simply a summary or a personal response. It consists of about 3 to 5 sentences. And its most important part is you write down what you found in that source that you think you can use in the rewrite of your paper. That's right. You're going to go back to one of the essays or memos or whatever that you've already written, revised and edited and been graded on. You're going to take it and now you're going to add sources to it. So what you're looking for in these sources is information, facts, quotations, statistics, examples that help support what you've already written about. So you ask yourself questions like, what did you find in the article that you can use, and in what way are you going to use it? This is a fact that supports our opinion, or this is a good new major point that I have discovered that I'm going to add as a paragraph in my essay. Now, the proper formatting for these steps can be found in the model response. You can download the model response from this thread, and also I wanted to review it with you. Now, here is a model response. Let me kind of shrink this down so that you'll see the scope of it. As you can see, it's really only one page, these 5 references. Now, pumping it back up, at the top of the page, depending upon the style you're using, is going to come a word like references if you're using APA, or if you're using MLA, that same list is called works cited. And what, what this list consists of is first, as we mentioned, step 2, which is the citation. And again, you're going to use a citation machine to arrive at the proper formatting for this citation. You have to use names, initials, periods, commas, parentheses, italics, and all that. You have to use them in a certain way. And they are double spaced. Then comes single spaced, your summary and reaction to and bits of information or quotations that you're going to use from that source. Okay, so for example, we have this source by Richards, Shimabukuro, Combs, and Crowder. It was published in 2004. Its title was Innovative Legal Tools to Prevent Obesity. It's the title of the article. The title of the journal where it was found was Journal of Law, Medicine, and Ethics. That was volume 42, issue number 4, and the actual article was found on those pages. And then after reading that article, Innovative Legal Tools to Prevent Obesity, the student made a summary of the article and even made some notations about how it can be used. The summary reads, vending machines were added to schools due to budget cuts. Companies paid schools to put in the machines. And so the author, the student, says to himself, these children were victims of greed. Studies have shown that these machines cause students to get into the habit of eating constantly, making them more likely to become obese. So clearly this student is writing about one of the topics that you were given at the beginning of the course, childhood obesity, soda and snack machines should be banned from public schools, and is coming up with information that is clearly supporting that position. Here is the student's second source. It is Seo and Lee, published in 2012. The title of the article was Association of School Nutrition Policy and Parental Control with Childhood Obesity. It was published in the Journal of School Health, volume 82, issue 6, pages 285 to 293, and it was retrieved with this DOI, Digital Object Identifier. Some journals have DOIs, some do not. And here is the summary and possible use. Along with the rise of obese children has been an increase in children with major health problems. And notice that the student has pulled out a quote that the student wants to use. Pediatric hypertension, hardening of the arteries, diabetes, liver disease, and breathing disorders are becoming common in today's use. A pretty powerful quotation that is pretty damning of the school nutritional policies that our children are subject to. The student goes on to summarize, studies show that children who attend schools where sodas are sold are more likely to be obese than children who attend schools without them. That's a solid piece of evidence. If your thesis is soda and snack vending machines should be banned from public schools, you have just found a very credible study saying that if you really want to do something about childhood obesity, ban these machines. Because, and you could even then add this in, because they were just added out of greed in the first place to make up with lack of funding that somebody took away from public schools, our very own children. So you can see how you start getting involved in these sources. You start thinking about how you can use them in your essay. Here's one from Shaw. The title of the article was USDA Wants Limits on Junk Foods Sold in Vending Machines. It's from a magazine called Education Week, Volume 32, issue uh, number 21, pages 6 through 7. And here it was retrieved from a website. So this is from the World Wide Web. The United States Drug and Agricultural Committee, I don't know what USDA stands for, proposed a ban on sodas in all public schools and limits on products high in fat, calories, and sodium. Regulations will require foods to be made of whole grains, fruits, vegetables, dairy products, and or protein. The foods must also contain natural fibers. So, if the United States Drug and Agricultural Department, it's United States Department of Agriculture, excuse me. If the United States Department of Agriculture is proposing a ban, then I think you have found a very strong ally in this paper that you're writing that has as its thesis these machines should be banned from public schools. You have just found a very strong support that you can add to your argument. So that's how it goes. Here is Suarez. There's the citation. Here we see only a two-sentence summary, which is fine. It's simply bringing in the results that the student thinks he or she can use. Study on vending machines in public schools. Colon. Here's what the studies found. Notice how it's not even written in complete sentences. That's because it's for your use only. Obesity in adolescents has seen a four-fold increase in the last 4 decades. Studies show that overweight children are most likely to be overweight as adults. So you want to know why America is the fattest country in the world? There you see it right there. It comes from these vending machines. So there's a very strong argument about banning these vending machines in schools. So you see how it all ties together. Now the last thing I want to talk about is the difference between peer-reviewed and non-peer-reviewed sources. Here's the deal on peer-reviewed. A peer-reviewed source is found in what is called a journal as opposed to a magazine. A magazine has advertising in it and thus is beholden in what it prints to those advertisers. A magazine is written by staff writers, not by experts. A magazine comes out on a frequent basis and therefore has less time to prepare and research its articles. And a magazine generally does not have footnotes and citations and sources listed to back up what it says. On the other hand, a journal is usually peer-reviewed. Here's what peer-reviewed means. That before an article gets published in that journal, the author's name is taken off of it, and the article is sent anonymously to experts in the field called the peer review panel. And the peer review panel, who are experts, read it and determine whether or not the study, the information, the source is authentic, legitimate, credible, timely, and give their thumbs up or thumbs down on that article. So before something is published in a peer-reviewed journal, it is vetted, it is reviewed, it is stamped acceptable, credible by a panel of experts. And that's why often you will be asked to have only peer-reviewed sources in something that you write, because it is the most credible information. Okay, so there's a kind of overview of your assignment for this week, the annotated bibliography. Now that you have this overview, we're going to break it down step by step, these steps that you see right here, and I'm going to give you video help and other kinds of help to complete each step.